So yeah, if you want another example of how lockdown is treating us, James is currently doing some laundry. And he's created a laundry rainbow. So today we have 2 Channel 5 movies for the price of one. Now, according to that freezed frame, it's called The Twin. But according to the description, it is The Deadly Twin. A woman discovers that the twin brother of her daughter's boyfriend has escaped from a mental health institution intent on revenge. So yeah, nice bit of mental health stigma there. Just what we needed for a Tuesday morning. And the second one later is Dating to Kill. Single mother Jessica seems to have a warm relationship with her 18-year-old daughter Tessa, until Tessa begins dating an older man who's revealed to have a deadly history with her mother. So yeah, my theory that they all had the name killing in them, it's not absolute. It isn't absolute, but it's not completely unproven. Yeah, so basically, James was told me to come outside because I was complaining that I was cold, and he said that it's a beautiful day outside and I should come outside, so I am. Oh, hello. Taking part in my normal pastime of looking at the bee patch, and there was one very, very loud bumblebee, which was lovely to see. I think I might have to start looking up the types of bees that we have here, because I've just seen one which was very unusual. Its wings kept vibrating whilst it was on the flower, which doesn't seem to happen with the other bees. It had a ridiculously long proboscis, or the sticky outy bit where they suck all the nectar from, which again the other bees don't. And its legs kind of look like they were bent backwards rather than straight. So I assume it's a bee because it sort of looks slightly yellow and slightly fluffy, but it's not an insect I've ever seen before. And I'd actually be quite interested to know what it is. So I'll have to look that back up. Have to look it up later, not look it back up. Look it up later. You can see from looking at the bees that there are different types. There are the kind of the big fat black and white striped ones and the slightly thinner yellowy ones, but above and beyond that I could not tell you the difference. I don't know what I've done with the secateurs. So this actually reminds me of going on camp with brownies. One of the things we do with brownies is a thing called wooding, which is going and collecting the twigs. Oh, that's a sticky one. Going up and picking up twigs for the fire, because these are used as kindling, the bit that starts off the fire. So it's not uncommon that I'll go on brownie holiday and tell the girls, you need to find a lot of wood, and they'll come up and say, is that enough? And you sort of hand them a carrier bag and go, no, you need to fill this. 1 carrier bag each. Then they get it. So unsurprisingly, I found snails whilst I was digging through the leaves, but I also found these 2 guys. One clearly more adventurous than the other. They both started off a little as curled up. But given that that pile of leaves is being taken to be burnt, I don't think these guys want to go down with it. There you go, successfully moved house. Right, I think I'm going to call it a day now. The black box where all of the twigs and the sticks is so full I nearly wasn't able to put the lid on. And the red box, or the maroon box, or the brown box, or however you define the shade, is full when it was empty earlier. So it's obvious I've done something. I've decided that when all of this is over, I'm going to put together a blooper reel of the stuff that didn't make the final edit. And I tell you something, there is going to be a heck of a lot of burping in there. Don't know what it is about recording, but almost every single time I press the record button and air just decides to make itself known in a really inappropriate way. So yeah, I've done some more in the garden today. We have a supermarket delivery in about half an hour's time. I looked up the insect that I saw, and it is not a bee. It is a bee fly. So apparently it pollinates plants the same way that bees do, so it's a good thing for that reason. But it also is a parasite to lone bees. So bees that don't live in a hive. See, I didn't even know this was a thing. Bees that don't live in a hive, that live solitarily, live on their own, are their homes and the places that they live are taken over by the bee fly. So yes, that was that. I also looked up other types of bee, and there are literally hundreds of different types of bee, or varieties of bee, or breeds of bee, or whatever word you use, that are native to the UK or that live in the UK. So I nearly fell down a little bit of a bee rabbit hole, if that's a thing. So James has bought himself a music stand to go with his keyboard. It arrived this afternoon, and we spent some very happy minutes comparing notes with each other of music stands that we remembered from school. There were 3 separate types that we had, and I can't remember. I think my primary school and my secondary school must have had different styles of music stands, but we were both sitting there saying, oh, do you remember when that? Oh, of course, yes. And do you remember when that? Oh, I'd forgotten that. So that was really, really funny. It's, a bit of a niche thing. Not everybody is going to remember the music stands that their primary or secondary school had, but that was quite a funny conversation we had this afternoon. But yes, the new music stand is up. It looks good. It doesn't have all of the pitfalls that music stands had when we were kids. So that's a good thing, a nice happy thing for today. I have this very annoying habit of just saying "and" at the beginning of every sentence, and I don't know why. And I've been trying to say something. I think I've done it 3 or 4 times and got it wrong every single time just because it starts with an and I don't like that. What I was trying to say is that dinner this evening, we are going to have burger and chips. When I say chips, I mean curly fries, which are just so much better. Then I don't know what the rest of the evening is going to bring. We've been going through and watching things from the TiVo box to try and clear space. And there are programs, see, there was another and, told you there's always an and, but there are programs which are done via social distancing which are just wrong. So it's mostly the comedy programs. So we've had Graham Norton, we've had the MASH report, and we've had Have I Got News for You. So Graham and Norton, the magic or the joy or the thing that works in the show is all of the different guests interacting with each other and bouncing off each other, which doesn't happen because the way it's done now is he just interviews each person. So there's none of the interaction of all the different guests with each other. The MASH report is similar. Everybody's doing their own little bit. They don't really bounce off each other in the way they do in the studio when they're all together. And Have I Got News for You? People are reacting to each other's comments, but because, again, they're all doing everything over video link from home, there is a delay. So when they're in the studio, it's like comments made, jokes made in response. Whereas now it's comments made, a couple of seconds for that to come through, then the comments made in response, or the jokes made in response. And it's just really strange watching all of them. And then on top of that, there is no interaction between the panelist or the guests or the presenters or whoever and the audience, because there's no studio audience either. It's just bizarre. The jokes are still funny, they just seem to be less funny. because there's not other people laughing with you. I don't know. I'm sure there are psychologists who will have some explanation about comedy and what happens when you're a group and in a group and following the crowd and stuff that would be able to explain this. But it's just a strange phenomena that the jokes don't seem to be as funny. First world problems, like I always say, it's a first world problem. Because I'm sitting next to my stash drawer, I saw this. This is another, by the look of it, another tape measure with a cover to knit. But actually I quite like the llama on its own. I'm just trying to see if it goes as far as 2 meters. No.